scheme called Right to Buy, where people living in council houses could buy them at a huge discount.
And you'll be able to buy it at a price that's 1/3 below market value.
The thing is, we didn't build enough council houses to replace the ones that were being sold off. So now we're running out. That's the thing with housing. There's another problem. You've got to build houses in the right places.
In England, private renting has doubled in the last 20 years.
And because there's a shortage, the quality of flats suffers. So, whatever promises parties make to build houses, just remember it's so much harder to turn that into an actual reality, that what they're promising just won't happen.
The place he's called home for 17 years has fallen apart around him.
It's just melting away.
The walls have turned black, caked in mould. The floors drenched by water that pours relentlessly from ceilings above. Found the conditions were unfit for human habitation. Families across the country living in poor quality social housing.
The lack of money that's been put into it.
I know.
Panicking and powerless to the water dripping down her walls and through her ceiling came the consequences in action.
I told them!
For 4 years, Nicole has reported leaks in her flat.
My son could have been sleeping there.
For more than 4 months in this. But it's still happening.
In a matter of minutes, from dripping on the edges, the whole thing came down.
She was standing directly underneath what was initially a small leak, trying to catch the water, inches from where her 4-year-old usually sleeps. They showed us videos like this and the destruction that has followed. Reporting leaks in his kitchen for 3 years.
Put the service charge up year by year, but we are not getting the service.
The top 10 housing associations set up to house people on low incomes now pay their bosses up to £436,000 a year. In 2020, chief executives of the biggest companies took home, on average, £340,000. While housing associations don't make profits, they have generated more and more income by building more of their own homes and selling them on the open market. Former housing association boss.
Most of the growth that we've had in the sector in the last 10 years has been building homes which are unaffordable for most of the people we were set up to help.
The salaries that people are on in the sector, can they justify them?
I think some of the salaries are too high.
The salaries of housing association chief executives are set by independent boards.
We asked the top 10 associations for an interview. They all declined. With the national shortage of affordable homes, their role has never been more important, but too many of their tenants have been left to feel like they are not.
These were prefab homes built after the Second World War. They were manufactured in sections which were slotted together.
So these are precision made. They're not built in the middle of a muddy field by someone taking their measurements from bits of string. These are precisely built to exactly the right dimensions.
They did not build enough affordable homes. We must stop talking about building houses and start building houses. A modular home, to be clear, is not a mobile home. It is simply a home that's built off-site. A modular home is one that's built indoors in a factory-like setting. So again, it's built somewhere off-site. These can be built in the matter of days and weeks. They can be custom built, manufactured, and literally transported and placed on site.
Built inside a factory. Everything is retrofit inside the factory. Everything is fitted in the factory, so it can be signed off in the factory and then it can be transported to site.
Next pair of houses lifting from the wagon and bolting into position will take 2 hours maximum.
Around 20 days, all built under one roof.
A bit like Henry Ford did really, back in the day when he started to build the Model T. He cut the cost by half, simply by doing things in a smarter, more refined way every time he built one.
Made in the factory, put on the back of a lorry and lifted into place on a site down the road. Faster to install, modular has been used for blocks like this one in Wandsworth to cause less disruption on a site in the middle of busy roads.
Wow, I see that housing in places before. I've seen that in our city before, but you never realized it was a modular home. So you can build a modular home for one person and later convert that to a 2-person home, to a 4-person home without having to rebuild. Imagine that. We can literally custom design communities that have central community center hubs. Some of the high spec that these are being built on, really incredible housing that you would want to live in, and they can be built quickly, and we can solve this housing problem fast. We can refurbish it later. And so we don't have to scrap all the costs. You can put new interiors later. You can put new exteriors and still keep the critical infrastructure. It can be reused.
Could IKEA solve the UK's biggest housing problem? Their goal is to go one step further, and that's by building properties and helping solve the housing affordability crisis. Thanks to a deal that they've struck with Worthing Council in England, they could very soon be building affordable, environmentally friendly homes. It claims its aims are to make it possible for ordinary people with average incomes to own a sustainable, quality, low-cost home. Worthing councillors have voted to work on a plan that could see 162 apartments built on land that it owns. The land is then leased back to Bocklock, who will build and sell the prefabricated homes, which are said to be very environmentally friendly. Bocklock claims that building in a factory lowers their environmental impact, especially as they are used with timber frames. They recycle most of the leftover materials, with less than 1% actually being thrown away. It also states that its carbon footprint is less than half of normal building projects. Genuinely groundbreaking. Bocklock sets the housing prices so buyers have money left after they've paid their housing costs. Its website claims a single parent can afford to buy and live in a newly built 2-bedroom Bocklock apartment. Prices for the Worthing development are yet to be announced. However, flooring, wall tiles will be included in the price, and all homes are fitted with an IKEA kitchen. 11,000 similar homes have been built and sold across Scandinavia.
Potential solution to the housing crisis. Only around 1% of new homes built were modular buildings.
Not be done through traditional means. We just do not have enough skilled labour. We have an ageing workforce. We don't have enough young kids coming into the industry. So it actually means that we need to improve our productivity. And the only way you're going to improve productivity is moving traditional construction towards manufacturing.
Struggling to afford to rent or buy a home, they don't believe that the government means it.
Well, all I can say is what I see in terms of policy development, in terms of actually putting funding into the manufacturing home sector. There's a lot going on at the moment which is trying to actually enable the market, so the government doesn't build homes directly. There's no state home building programme. A lot of people,
is that part of the problem?
Perhaps, it's a big sort of political hot potato in many respects. I know if Labour would potentially change that viewpoint from the current government.
This urban village, part of a 10,000 home new town, will be part of our MMC research study, Driving Industry Innovation. Together, we're making homes happen.